Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, welcome. I think that was the Truman Show, but actually no, that was good morning, good evening, good night. Yeah, if I don't see you. Anyway, this is Gearvana. I don't know why I got really distracted there. You haven't seen the Truman Show, Mark?
I have, but I mean, not to that detail.
Not to that detail. I like that movie. I'm Mike over here, and Dewald over here, and we thank you for joining us on something that's going to involve a lot of detail, and I'll be filling it in, and Mark will be going like, I don't know to that detail.
Yep,
indeed.
And I'll just be staring and smiling.
Exactly.
Enjoying.
We're here to talk about guitar gear, recording gear, all sorts of gear, because we like gear.
Ohm. 16 ohm.
There we go. Yep, 16 ohm cabinets behind us. Very, very important to get that right. And of course, what's also very important to get right is the sponsor read. Thank you, Rode Microphones South Africa, for the awesome microphones, the awesome boom arms. We got the two pod mics. We got the Procaster in the middle, the PSA 1 Plus boom arms, and we've got the Procaster handling all the audio.
This Dingus making sounds now. I don't know what sounds, but it's making it.
You really need to put some sounds on there.
I think you just have to turn the volume up. Let's see. There we go. It's putting sounds. I don't know what sounds. But
jeez, this is worrying me now. I don't know what sounds.
There we go.
Anyway, we'll figure that out at some point. But what's super cool with the Procaster is you can actually tell it that this is a Procaster mic. That's a pod mic. It actually has presets for all the popular podcasting mics. You got an EVR E20 and a Shure SM7.
Whoa.
Settings. So I mean, it's just super easy to get it going. Got all the processing in there, all the recording in there.
That actually blew my mind, because now shout out to Rode. Last week we had some guitar recording at Marshall Music, and I thought like, hey, I want to check this out because you just recorded an SD card. Took this bad boy with. First time I realized it's touch screen, because you just touch the knob. It's so easy to use. You don't actually have to go into anything. So it's the first time I realized you can touch the screen. And then obviously
I want to touch the screen first. I like finger marks.
Just changing it, I realized suddenly it's like got built-in processing, which is currently on, and you can turn it off, and then you can change microphones. So when we recorded the guitars, I put an SM57 and just swapped to dynamic microphone, and it sounds rocking.
So basically, you're walking around with a hard disk recorder.
Yeah, this is a 4-channel hard disk recorder, so you can record 4 channels on this.
Brilliant.
And I mean, it's
you can also run USB.
Yeah, you were showing me the processing earlier. It looked bloody amazing, you know.
So Rode.
This is cool. This is something that's created like a new product category. Now everyone's making like podcast mixers and podcast recorders and stuff. And Rode were the first. So well done, Rode, and well done for giving us free stuff. We like free stuff. You guys rock. Free stuff's the best stuff, right?
Indeed.
Except if it's free food at certain things like funeral food. Then it's not so good.
I know.
Or like free sex in prison. I don't know.
Okay, disclaimer time.
This may not be acceptable for children.
Because you just said that, so I'm going to be like, okay, wait, hang on. So, I mean, we're all involved in the industry to some degree. I work at Marshall Music. He does some work for Marshall Music, and you do work for yourself.
Yes.
But the thing is, our opinions are our own. We're trying to keep this as independent as possible, so we're going to say things that probably our bosses don't like. But,
or they do like, but they won't admit in public.
I don't know. We'll see, but... take it with a grain of salt. We have obvious biases. Every human has an obvious bias towards something. We probably have some biases, and you might accuse us of certain things that we don't have biases to. It's in the eye of the beholder, but
totally.
From our side, we're going to try and keep it as down the middle as we can. But of course, take it with a grain of salt. Disclaimer.
Yeah, it's not like we're going to attack everybody, but we have our own opinions.
We do have an attack dog in the next room. His name.
We do. Yeah, it's D.
Get him.
the bearded man.
Like a D. No, we don't. We won't.
No, we really do have a D.
We do actually have a D. We can call him. I mean, I think we've said his name enough now that he might appear.
His name is D.
Anyway.
D?
You call him?
Can you come here quick, bro?
Coffee break while we're waiting for D. This is not coffee break. We're not cutting this out of the podcast. Just come here, bro. Just closer. You want to trick you on the camera. No, don't put your hand in front of the camera.
Don't put your hand in front of the camera. Come, just show people that you exist.
D, this is D. Look at the camera. More forward, like there in the middle. That's D. There we go. So we weren't lying.
Yeah, he exists. He's real.
So now you know when you watch Gearvana, we never lie.
Exactly. It's all the truth.
It's our opinions, which is based on the truth.
Well, our truth. Everyone has their truth nowadays. Because that's how it works, right? Anyway, moving swiftly
Why
along.
is Mark just keeping silent?
Ah,
He's like, I'm
because-
staying out of this.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, no, listen, I've put my foot
I
into
need more.
many a hole before, so
So, Guitar of the Week, sponsored by Marshall Music. Thank you, Marshall Music.
Thank you, Marshall Music.
I'm thanking myself, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
thank you,
amazing.
Mike and Marshall
Yeah.
Music.
What do we got? We got a USA Taylor guitar. This is a GTE Urban Ash. That's something they released in 2020. You got the GTE Urban Ash and you got the American Dream series. No cutaways on both of these. This is a Grand Theater shape, they called it. So it's a little bigger than a GS Mini.
And it's a spruce top, obviously.
Yeah, spruce top and urban ash back inside. So it's like a sustainable wood that grows in California, grows pretty quickly.
how's it tone
grain, yeah.
compared to like a rosewood?
If you actually look at the grain, it looks a hell of a lot like a Honda and mahogany kind of vibe. It sounds similar. It's a little brighter, a little harder, but it's not like the typical ash that's that really heavy, hard wood. Urban ash, because it grows quicker, is a bit softer.
And it's got a little bit more texture, which I also do.
Yeah, it looks a lot like mahogany, to be honest. Scale length 24 and 1/8, so it's a little shorter than a Gibson scale. So it actually feels quite like bendy. When you check there, I'm just bending pretty easy.
Don't relic it. Don't relic it.
Yeah, let's not do that. Satin finish as well.
I love this. I love
That's
the finish
very
of
pretty.
those
And pickups.
sides.
ES2, so the Taylor expression system. You got the NURBS over there.
That are very pretty.
Very, very cool. American made, cheapest American made Taylor, so about $1,699. That sort of is about 30 grand in South African money.
Sure.
You want to give us a sound there? We've actually got a microphone set up. Got a Lewitt LCT 440. Sorry, Rode. We didn't actually have a Rode condenser around. So
feels great, man.
what do you think, Mark?
I dig it, man. It's good. And once again, factory setup, was it been
Factory setup.
really?
What
Yeah.
neck is that?
So that's a normal Taylor standard profile. It's got like a slight V to it, which I dig with all the Taylors. So
But
it's,
the wood, that looks like
the
mahogany.
neck, it's mahogany. Yeah.
All right.
It's also got a eucalyptus fingerboard, so that's not rosewood or ebony. It's actually eucalyptus wood on the fingerboard.
That's the first time I've ever heard people using eucalyptus.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's this Australian guitar manufacturers like Mason and what's the other one? Cole Clark. I think they've used eucalyptus before.
Probably because there's no other wood in Australia.
Yeah, koalas.
Koalas chowing them.
Eucalyptus trees. Yeah, cool guitar. It's been really successful for them. I think it's a bit misunderstood in SA, like because GS Minis sell by the bucket load, as you know, you see them everywhere.
But they're awesome guitars.
Yeah, they are awesome guitars. They
They're
sound a lot
amazing.
bigger than they are. So I mean, this is a little step above that, but it's a big price step. It's probably double the price of a typical kind of with pickup GS Mini. But it's an American-made guitar. Obviously, you can feel the sort of fit and finish is definitely higher. Tonally, it's all solid as well.
Where's the GS Mini made? Because I mean,
GS Minis are made in Mexico.
okay,
I think Ensenada is where their factory is. So
I mean that felt great.
yeah, they feel good. Like I think Taylor, like I'm horribly biased on this one, but I think Taylor makes some of the very best guitars
I
right
am
now.
completely with you on that. I'm an absolute when it comes to acoustic guitars. Taylor for me. as well.
Taylor, I mean, I love Martins as well. Love Gibsons too. They all do different things.
Look,
but
I've got to give you a Yamaha shout.
Little Yamaha shout.
My old LL16.
pretty
you
good
know,
guitar.
It's a bloody good guitar. That
Bloody
is
good guitar.
an amazing acoustic
You're
guitar.
trying to get something for free from Antonia. Is this where this
Nothing's
is
for
going?
free in South Africa, as you said. Anything free.
Yeah, especially in prison.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
That's where we need a sound effect.
I haven't been to prison yet, but I hear.
You hear it's
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Yet.
Okay. I wouldn't want to go to prison. Yet.
No, not me neither.
Anyway, I don't know how we got there, but yeah, I mean, come back to the GTE Urban Ash. I think it sits in an interesting space because, like, to me, I really dig the scale length on the Gibson acoustic because of the shorter scale. It's
yeah, me
easier
too.
to
Oh,
bend,
goodness.
So now this is even shorter than the Gibson scale. Like typical Taylor scales, I think 25.4, so a smidge shorter than a Fender, but pretty much the same. You know, like Martins are 25.5 like a Fender, so your string tension's fairly high. But playing this, like you can bend notes nicely. It's got a very polar guitar sort of vibe, but it's a bit bigger sounding.
Yeah.
If you consider like a Martin 0000 kind of thing, double the price, and this an LG2 from Gibson, more than double the price of this. It seems like an expensive guitar, but when you compare it to a GS Mini, but it's not an expensive guitar when you compare it to Martin's and Gibson's, you know. So
yeah, but I mean, a J45 compared to this.
Yeah, I mean, but J45 is more than double the price.
Yeah.
Like,
so what are we looking?
Double the price.
So what are we looking at price wise in Ronds?
30,000 ish.
Yeah, I mean that's decent for a guitar.
33.
Like
What does it say on the price?
Yeah,
ticket?
33.
33.
No, maybe 34. Yeah.
34. Okay, so
that'll knock you back.
Well, just go to
Knock you
Marshall
back.
Music and chat to Brandon, and he'll
Ask for a discount.
Tell him.
well,
Give a
actually,
story. Yeah.
I mean, there's been a number of other dealers that also sold them as well. So I mean, there are a few of them out there. There's a few in Cape Town too. So definitely, I think Boutique Guitars and
pretty.
Cape Town might have them as well. But yeah, have a look out for them. Great guitars. If you haven't tried a GTE Urban Ash, really cool. And you know, you've probably never tried anything with an Urban Ash back inside.
Or eucalyptus.
Yeah, unless you played Australian guitars.
No, I haven't played
Terrible
some Australian.
Australian
I've played a Cold
My
Claw.
Australian accent beats yours, man.
Yeah, no, sorry, my Australian accent sucks.
The key about Australians is that they don't pronounce the name of their country correctly, and that's how you get into the Australian character. You know, Australia.
Australia.
Yeah,
Oh, so you don't say the L. You just Australia.
Australia.
I put a
And there's no U in there either, so I don't know.
put here Betty on the Barbie.
No, we're going to move away from that.
Would you say that like on the fat ladies and that, what are they using compared to, you said this is,
Well, I mean,
you had
that's
some,
eucalyptus fingerboard, but
just a finger.
I
I
don't
apologize
actually- I mean-
to all the fat ladies out there. Mark didn't mean that.
I didn't even
that's
say it.
that's the Cole Clark
Did I
fat
say
lady.
it?
That's what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
because it's, yeah.
Cole Clark fat lady acoustic guitar. I mean, I think they use Bunya, and that's one of like an indigenous wood. They also use Australian blackwood as well. So
I'm
just not sure what
I had
the-
two that would just crack the backs
just cracked.
yeah. And
Well,
not even after a long time. you know?
Occupational hazard with solid woods, man. Unfortunately, that's the crazy thing. I mean, we were talking about this a while ago with like super cheap laminate wood guitars. Like they don't crack.
Yeah, last for
They
30
last
years.
forever, but-
Yeah, like without no.
Solid wood guitars, you know, all solid. You got to humidify them, otherwise they do crack. You know, especially in Johannesburg, Pretoria, kind of the relative dryness. I mean, I got a hygrometer in my room just to see like, and sometimes it'll dip like below 35% relative humidity. That's dry, like super dry. You want it to be sort of 45 to 65%, you know, ideal for guitars and humans, as it turns out.
So now in wintertime, you're saying you've got to definitely have the humidifier.
Definitely humidify. That's probably a topic for a pretty soon podcast. But
Definitely.
it's quite crazy because people are like, oh, I paid all this money for this acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, then why didn't you look after it? Like,
But,
why
but
you...
sometimes, but the people,
why did it crack?
when guys
Yeah.
go and buy acoustic guitars, they aren't told that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
You know?
thing with retail. Retail guys, if you're listening to this, I love you because you help me have money. But besides that, please like actually tell people about humidifying their guitars because it's pretty damn
That
important.
is a big thing. But
you
I mean,
know?
I never knew, even recently, until you like really got me into.
I mean, there was also that Rick Shaw
Yeah.
video as well where he's like, I ruined my $5,000 Novo because
Yeah.
he didn't humidify it,
Yeah.
you know? So it's a pretty important thing. And I think a lot of guitarists don't give it a second thought. So there we go. Free advice for the week.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
gear of the week. That's the next section. We'll have a chance to choose something. This week, it's actually Mark's turn, and he brought one of his own guitars.
Yes, indeed, I did.
Oh, it made a sound.
Oh,
I've had it,
it's even
my little
sounding.
baby, for just about a year and a half now, I think.
Let me just hit record on the PC over there so we can record the
Oh,
audio.
we can record the sounds.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Didn't realize I wasn't running through the Procaster.
No, that's so we can actually hear it.
Aha, so we
Mark
can hear
give
it.
you the name
I'll
of
give you
this.
the name. It's a very long name. It's a G&L USA ASAT Classic Bluesboy 90. So ASAT in G&L terms is the Telecaster shape. Bluesboy, the classic means it's got the sort of their classic MFD bridge pickup, much higher output than a
Which
typical
rocks.
Fender Telecaster pickup. It's about double the output. It's got a lot more mid range. It's more P90 like almost in some ways. And then the 90 means it has a P90 neck pickup. So that matches up really nicely. You get a cool middle position. Super cool on this guitar. 6 individual brass saddles. I really wish all the other manufacturers would do that for intonation's sake.
Yeah.
It's like, why do we need to do the shared? I mean, my cousin Shop Taylor's got the shared saddles, but it's not something you can change. But the G&L bridge, What does the L stand for? Leo Fender. It was it was the company that he started after Fender. He kind of had a non-compete, so he wasn't allowed to start a company in the guitar sector after selling Fenders to CBS Corporation in 1965. So he illegally went and worked for Music Man as a consultant, and actually the G&L factory used to make the Music Man
The
guitars.
G being for George Fullerton.
George Fullerton, yeah, that's the production manager for Fender during the heyday. So they sort of partnered on this brand after Leo went to separate ways with Music Man. So all the early Music Man amps and guitars were actually made by Fender, because the current G&L factory is the Fender factory from the 60s. That wasn't included in the sale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's actually on Fullerton. It's on Fender Avenue, and he has the crazy coincidence. There's George Fullerton, and the town's also called Fullerton. So
What?
it's like it's very close to.
I thought it was actually like the Fullerton factory was based on, but
on his name. No,
Yeah,
no. The
okay.
town's called, it's Fullerton, California. So like you'll see some brands. I'm trying to think which brand it is. I think it might be Reverend. They actually call one of their bolt-on guitars the Fullerton, because it's
wow.
that's where that was the birthplace of bolt-on. That's actually one of the taglines of G&L. Made in Fullerton, the birthplace of bolt-on. So.
yeah, and I mean, what's also cool for me, like after reading that story, where Leo Fender himself says he didn't, for himself personally, he didn't develop the Strat or the Telly up to the point that he was happy with it, So only when he started G&L, he had the capacity to do all of the changes he wanted to do.
Oh, wow.
So technically, that is Leo Fender's final product, where the actual Telly was like, I mean, he's
Work in progress kind of.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool innovations on these. What I dig with them as well is the jumbo frets, like bigger frets than you typically get. This one's an option order one as well. So this one was like spec'd. I think the body is a Kame, so it's kind of like really lightweight mahogany. This guitar is super light, so like it'll float away if you don't hold on to it, which is quite ridiculous. And yeah, just make some sounds.
Mahogany body.
Well, a Kame.
So we're going through a Strymon Iridium on the Fender setting, and then a flashback delay and a Moore Hustle Drive, which is actually not even on now. So
Back onto P90. Take the drive off a bit. Little.
That's the best sound on the guitar.
So Mark, having played almost every Telly known to man, what are your opinions?
Well, I obviously love this one a lot. I've had it for a while. Usually if I don't like something, it's with me for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is actually true. But then there's also those times where you try to convince yourself that you do love it for whatever reason,
Yes,
and then
indeed.
it'll be like a month.
And well, I've got to say, obviously the Fender Teddies are what they are. They're Fender Teddies, and then these G&Ls, I've got two of them. Could be slightly different. I mean, the specs once again. And then of my one special red Takar that I said you don't have anymore. Those were my favorite Teddies,
So you don't like mine? Oh.
I don't like yours. I just don't have it.
I like yours.
I don't have it.
You don't have it. Yeah, that's it's like,
No,
I'm
that's
insulted
pointless.
here.
Yeah.
So how weird is this? I mean, Marshall Music does G&L.
Yeah.
I don't have a G&L anymore. You've got one and I've got a Fender. How does that work?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the other one's more traditional than this one. This one is not
Yeah,
very
so
traditional.
the
It's
other one you got
slightly-
is a ASAT Classic Alnico. So it's got the Alnico, classic sort of
Okay.
very low output, like Telly pickups.
that really sounds great for like the Telly sound. I mean, we sat in the shop
Yes, we
and
did.
we did a bit of a shootout amongst many guitars, and I actually blindfolded myself. Or,
You tried.
Blindfolded, closed my eyes.
Here's
You
one.
know? Yeah, Mark was just passing me these guitars, and I actually brought the guitar back because of an issue with the frets. Do you remember? It was
I was a bit dry and like
What brand?
out of it.
What brand? What
You know,
brand? Oh.
you know, no, I mean every guitar can get dry.
Yep,
That's
100%. But when going through all these tests with all these tellies, and I wasn't having a look at when we went through a whole bunch.
Like
And
we had custom shops, we had like
and-
Venteras, like Road Warns,
Yeah.
American Pro 2, you know,
Yeah,
like
and I
pretty
tell you
much
what,
everything.
and
How long were you guys busy for?
dude, that's
Couple hours.
and but every single time I just came back to that G&L, and I would have taken it with those frets that were lifted. I mean, JD did a great job on it.
Sorted it out.
But I mean, I would have gladly taken it and played it like that because it just had such a brilliant sound compared
Do
to.
you know what the problem there was for me? Remember, I had the guitar with me to come and give it to you because you know you'd made you'd tried everything and then you wanted to actually later on get the guitar, and I had it with me at home, and I was like, okay, I just want to play it a little bit and see it, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to give it to Mark. I want to keep it. I want to give it to Mark. I was like thinking, it's sold. Sorry, Mark.
Yes.
Yeah,
no,
that would have been
nice.
awful if I did that. Sorry, but
Yeah, no, that G&L for a standard telly sound is flipping brilliant. You know?
I apologize if I'm not taking part in this conversation, but I really do not like telly
yeah,
pickups.
we just enthusing about it. We're like, oh, Telecaster, you know.
No, listen,
I
but
dig
the
a telly shape,
a
but-
telly is so hard. It's like you're either going to dig it, like we spoke about before, you got to fight that guitar to play it.
Yeah, like
You know?
I dig the telly shape is like I dig that shape, but like telly pickups,
Yeah.
Not
just
your vibe.
just not my bag.
So you just dig
and
more
I've-
hotter stuff, man.
Yeah, and I've tried tellies. I mean, like I've said, I've had like a few proper.
I
But
think
it's just,
like this style, the regular ASAT Classic higher output pickups, wouldn't that suit you better?
I'd probably have to check it because I mean now when Mark was playing it, that P90 sounds incredible, and obviously the MFD that's higher output would be, more my bag. But like that's why I've never gone into tellies because every time I pick a telly up, it feels great. But sound
As
wise,
soon as you're going to start playing it, and it's like
not my thing.
it doesn't give you as much as what.
I want.
I think try an ASAT Classic or an ASAT Special, but I don't think we have any of those. I had a semi-hollow of those a few years ago. It's got the big MFD pickups. They look kind of like Jazzmaster pickups.
Oh wow!
But they're also quite a high output. And funny enough, they sound more like a regular telly than those two.
You're joking.
It's just about how the design is. Like what's really cool with all the MFD pickups as well is you can adjust the pole pieces individually. So kind of like a humbucker can, but it's a single coil. So, you often have that with the Fender style guitar where you just have one string is like
That's
louder.
just not.
Yeah, I know. Like those MFDs are flipping.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
Stunning.
I mean,
They
I
are
must say for
beautiful.
myself, I've owned more G&Ls than any other brand. So, and there's a good reason for that because they're freaking great guitars. Like, I would still probably have a couple if I wasn't trying to sell everything, including my family, my pets, and like furniture.
There's
to buy
one
custom
G&L
shops.
at Marshall that I've been eyeing for long. It's that Doheny,
Oh,
I think
Doheny.
Jag
Goodness.
something.
Oh, no, you think of it the Doheny.
Whatever that thing, Doheny. Yeah, sorry, that one.
We'll put one on screen if,
This one.
if the editor's listening.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This one. But I've been
don't
eyeing
know if
that
he is.
one for a while. It are very pretty, and it has got humbuckers
Is it, eh?
and a trim. Yeah, it's got a trim as well. So
Yeah, I'll show you what it looks like there, Marky, just so you can,
you'll see this on the screen now.
if it would load.
Oh, when are you supposed to be going there?
What?
When are you supposed to be going there? To Marshall?
Yeah,
Oh.
I get one.
When am I going?
I think
Tomorrow.
I might be popping around just now. After this.
We'll go have a look at those.
Yes, indeed.
That's odd, eh?
It is beautiful. Goodness.
It's super hot. Yeah, we're zoomed in for no good reason there. There you go.
Yeah.
I dig also that they're doing like a Jazzmaster style
That is
guitar
brilliant.
with a regular trim, you know.
Can it split the humbuckers?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's always their vibe. But like what's also again cool with G&L, you get the three knobs on like the Strat style, the Legacy, and on the humbucking guitars where you got a treble and a bass knob, passive roll off. So that gives you some very cool tonal options. So for instance, if you want hum cancelling, but you want it to sound a bit more single coil, like you roll the bass off and then it sounds like a single coil and it doesn't hum. So, for gigging, that's super cool.
That is nice.
I've been-
Come with the case or?
Yeah.
I've been eyeing that
As far
back.
as I know, I could actually check.
Mark's wife, if you're listening to this, keep him back.
All right, you're not allowed to. Down, boys.
Yeah, well, you know.
You're not allowed to. So I think we've been on G&L for a bit
Yeah.
We're gushing, like we're literally gushing a little bit. So let's move over to hot news. I decided it's American news section now because we're going to talk about an American guitar company. So it's not news, it's news.
South African guitar manufacturers, by the way, if you are there and listening, give us a shout, man. We'd love to check out your gear.
Check out your gear. Maybe
Gonna
we feature
bring
it
some of these babies on.
Definitely.
Foosh guitars.
That is currently my number one guitar.
Foosh.
Dig it. The Foosh Feta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dig that bad boy.
That's a for sure vet for anyone who's confused about what the hell he's talking about.
That is a...
They look stunning, but they look amazing. I haven't played one yet.
Yeah, I should have brought mine, but it is...
I had one actually. I had a really, really nice
You
one.
again, Mark or Mike. That's...
Well, I didn't sell it so much as give it to a really good mate for his 50th birthday.
How cool is that?
What?
No, what you did there for your mate.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't I? I mean, good
Other
mate.
people, because you love your guitar, you know?
Well, I mean,
I love your mates too.
You want a guitar, Mark? I got 2 left. You can take everything from me.
Okay. Just like it.
I just want your pedal board.
My fiddle boy. There's the funny thing is I'm not sentimental about guitars, but I am sentimental about pedals for some crazy reason.
You had the most busiest pedal board when I first met you.
Yeah, I know.
In your early days.
2 sections, like interconnected.
Did you play in church?
I did, but actually
all the church guitarists.
No, but I mean, like when I recorded with him, I used a guitar synth and like a step sequencer and all sorts of shit.
Yeah, goodness, you had these amazing, weird, all the weirdest pedals you could ever think of. Man.
I still love the weird pedals. I just don't really use them anymore, you know. I mean, I'm not like playing gig or anything. So
yeah, because I mean, I'd love the way you'd find some angle to fit the thing onto a pedal board. I was thinking, how are you going to be pressing? How are you going to stand on that? How are you going to engage that pedal?
With a delicate ballerina toe.
With the big toe. So that's why his right foot, he doesn't wear a shoe.
Yeah,
so
this
he's
is
going to hit it with his toe.
Can you imagine? Okay, hot news.
Hot news.
Anyway, so what's the hot news of this week? It is the Jerry Cantrell collaboration with Gibson brands that continues with the Epiphone.
Alice in Chains for you guys that don't know.
So I mean, he's done a couple custom shop guitars. They had his red Les Paul Custom. He has a 90s Les Paul Custom. They actually made a custom shop version. He calls it his Wino Les Paul. So they did that in the custom shop late last year. Now they're actually doing an Epiphone version, which is super cool.
I think probably a lot of people were requesting it, and then Gibson said, well, here you go.
I'm surprised they've actually done this as quickly as they have, because, the first one they did like a custom shop recreation, with the whole Murphy Lab thing where they make it aged and everything, was the Adam Jones, the Tool Adam Jones guitar. And they've actually done 2 different Adam Jones. Yeah. So actually with the Jerry Cantrells, let me show you guys. We're going to obviously be on screen, so we'll show you the 2 guitars. That's the Wino, that's the wine red. So you got a 98T bridge pickup and an El Nico Pro neck pickup. Very, very cool guitar. So I mean, a red Les Paul Custom's unusual for Epiphone and Gibson right now. So I think that's really cool. There's a lot of Jerry fans, and funny enough, Jerry's long-standing relationship was with G&L for his signature Rampage guitar, which apparently he still plays. So I think he's playing his Rampage and then his signature guitars. There's also Jerry Cantrell acoustic, which looks really weird. Definitely check that out. If maybe we'll put it on screen as well. I don't think South Africa's getting any of those, but it does look very strange. It's got a square painting around the sound hole, so it makes the sound hole look square, but it's not. It's a Gibson songwriter. Very interesting. And then also the other thing that they're doing in Epiphone as well is a Jerry Cantrell Prophecy. So this is with the it's a white Les Paul Custom ebony board, and you get Fluence pickups, which is really cool. That looks super cool. There you go. There you go.
That is rad.
Yeah.
Not sure if I dig the fretboard though, but the guitar,
good interesting inlays. So definitely look out for that. Epiphone and Gibson have been on a bit of a roll with some of the artist models. Really like the Slash stuff has been super successful for them. The Adam Jones stuff. You know what? I feel like so stupid for saying in 2020 no to an Adam Jones Murphy Lab guitar for South Africa. I was like, no, it's too expensive. It's not going to sell. Because as it turns out, the values on those are like 3 times what they were new, and they were mega expensive. They were like $7,000-$8,000 guitars new. They're like $20,000 secondhand now. So
crazy.
It's crazy.
Being the Gibson and Epiphone guy, what's happening with Joe Bonamassa signature stuff? Is there
there's the Epiphone Lazarus, which is one of his it's like a recreation of one of his 59 bursts. So they call it the Lazarus guitar because it was like covered or something, and then they pulled all the stuff that was stuck to it. It's like, oh look, it's a burst, And
is Marshall bringing some of them in or not?
Yeah, we're getting some of those. I think 2 But they're also limited. I think they're only making 3,000 or something. So we'll see. I mean, in Epiphone terms, 3,000 guitars is not a lot. You know,
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, in Gibson terms, if they're like, we're making 3,000 of this American guitar, you'd be like, come on. It's like, but, you know, a lower price guitar, they're very cool. I'm really keen to get them. Obviously, we showed the Jared James Nichols on the previous episode.
Yeah.
That should be out at the moment. But yeah, check out the Epiphone Prophecies. They're coming pretty soon to South Africa. And, of course, if you're in the US of A or Europe, you've probably got access to them. I think they came out about a week before this this podcast goes out, 2 weeks, something like that. So check them out. They're cool guitars. So, hot topic of the week. What is the hot topic of the week? I'm asking you because I want to see, did you read the document?
Yes,
Did
I
you?
did.
Okay, you did. Okay.
It's about
I also read the document.
Pop quiz.
what is it, my buddy?
A to D converters.
No.
Damn it.
No, it's not.
Oh, God damn it! God damn it! God damn it!
You know what it is?
Yeah, it's about modelers, how far modelers have come.
There we go.
Modelers.
He's like, Mark reads the document. Look, this guy's.
That's not what you told me earlier.
Yeah, it was on purpose. Sorry. No, I didn't do that. He's lying. It's comedic effect. That's what we're going for. That's the fourth wall we're breaking here. I'm looking directly at the camera.
you
And
see.
look, this is when it comes to modelers, that's like you love your amps, you love your amps. I love amps as well. So I'm not too I'm so used to playing through modelers. Like I think just growing up where I did in the Eastern Cape. I mean, I had an amplifier.
You didn't have electricity or shoes, so I mean, like,
no, but it's
You didn't have
just
shoes,
it's
though,
just one of
you don't
those. I just always liked the sound of, especially like in the 80s, you know, the guitar sounds, and they made racks of stuff. So the only way to kind of access those kind of effects was through like
Modeling,
a multi-effects, like the early Boss multi-effects, and then the Korg A3.
Can I just
oh,
say
the
that
A3 was huge.
Can I just say that I was indeed correct? Because a modeler is an A to D converter.
Oh, he's claiming,
It is,
claiming a victory
yes,
there. Okay,
yeah.
roundabout way. So
I like your little.
he's not wrong. So the topic is how
Yeah.
far has digital modeling come in the last 20 years? Obviously, it's been around for a bit
Very
longer than
far.
20 years, but you'd have to say probably from the Zoom 505 kind of era. This is what got me thinking about it last week. We were talking about Digitech, you know, the RP100 and RP50s and stuff. Like since probably the early 2000s when it really got mainstream with digital modelers, you know, the first pod and all of that. It's changed quite a bit because it's very easy to make that conclusion. Like, this is, you know, it's the same as it was 10 years ago or
It
whatever.
is
But I tell
most
you,
definitely
I
not.
used to actually rehearse with Guitar Rig 4 and Guitar Rig 5 when I was gigging and doing the church thing and whatever. So, you know, I'll like rehearse through that and then use the, you know, the valve amp and the pedal board or whatever for the gigs and the church thing. And like I could get a pretty good sound out of Guitar Rig 4 and then it got better in Guitar Rig 5. It would sound pretty good. And Native Instruments actually didn't update Guitar Rig until 2021, I think it was. So Guitar Rig 5 existed for a long time. And funny enough, I have a more recent complete, you know, with all of the native instrument stuff. It's probably like a 2016, 2017. I didn't realize they hadn't updated Guitar Rig. So then I installed it and I tried Guitar Rig 5 Pro thinking it was 6. You know, I just didn't read it properly. And I'm like, this sounds exactly the same as like 10 years ago, you know.
Do you remember when they used to have the pedal, the guitar?
Yeah, the rig control.
Yeah, the rig control.
Yeah, where you had to actually run through that, and that would give you like.
No, you could. Yeah,
you could run it without, but it's like that's the only way you could get switching. For,
switching.
for live,
Yes,
you know?
That at a
sound
point was
good.
actually my fly rig for a lot of gigs. So I'd take,
Guitar rig control.
yeah, so I'd literally take my MacBook and recontrol. So, and I mean,
Wow, man.
there's so many corporates flying around because you just literally take your laptop, pop it up next to
Crazy.
you.
So
There you go.
what really told me about like how different modeling is now versus 10-year-old technology and very good 10-year-old technology. You were gigging with Guitar Rig, you've used it on tracks.
Yeah, I was gigging on it like 2013, and I mean it was like still.
So like I tried a Strymon Iridium, which is actually incidentally what we were running the guitar through earlier. That's a very, very good option for modeling if you want to like run your pedal board. I tried one of those out, and I in the very first episode I spoke about Neural DSP, the Tone King Mark II plugin.
Ended up
That
getting
is-
it.
Oh, that is so good. Have you've tried it?
I've got it. I just got it. Yeah.
It is so good. Like I'm actually considering going without an amp now, like just playing through that because
It is really
is
great.
so
I just
good.
wish there was a way to engage the. There must be a way with MIDI or something to.
yeah, no, it
engage
has.
the-
if you right click in the interface, it
Yeah?
actually has an assign MIDI parameter
really?
thing you can do. So like you right click on the volume knob, you right click
Yeah?
on the preset space or whatever. So you can do
Wow.
it. So it can be used for live, which is
Yeah.
making me go like, and I tried my pedal board through it. It sounds so
Yeah.
freaking
Oh,
good.
really?
It's ridiculously good.
Great.
But where I hear the difference, like primarily, and I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me how you think about modeling the high end, like the high strings on the guitar. Like I know on the older tech, it doesn't have that sort of sparkle that a real amp has
Yeah, it
on the
kind of
high strings. Yeah, it feels kind of, it makes the guitar feel kind of plinky in a way. And then when you run something current, like Helix is like this as well, you can kind of hear it. It sort of responds more like an amp. Whatever it's doing with the highs, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
compression or it's just those transient high notes, like
Yeah.
well, I'm trying to think of the frequency range there. I guess like the 2-3K kind of range, like sparkly sounds. It just
For
what
me,
sets
it's more
apart
the
current
way it
stuff.
like handles the harmonics of the
Yeah,
notes
yeah,
because you do
harmonics.
get the harmonics ringing out regardless, and most of the time I feel it's how the harmonics sound
Mm-hmm.
through an amp versus through a modeler. But I mean, in the recent stuff, Line 6 Helix, I've played through a Kemper once or twice, but I've owned pretty much every variation of Line 6 from the pod to the Helix. And I mean, it like, I don't know. For me, the thing is with modeling is that like, if you think about it, like if you take a pedal board like that, it's made for the guitarist that wants to go out and gig and don't want to worry about an amp. And then everybody go, but it's digital, doesn't sound as good. Like, honestly, dude, if you're playing,
it doesn't.
if you play a venue with 200 people in, the acoustics of the place, the band jamming the PA,
Right. There's
you
small
really-
variables. If you're going to mark up an amp, if you don't have a great engineer, it's going to suck anyway.
yeah, but even
Yeah.
if you
So
do have
obviously
a,
it's for yourself. You're going to feel it on stage
Yeah.
differently.
no, 100%, so to answer your question, for me personally, like modeling is definitely the future. I mean, we've seen so many guitarists actually move towards that. And, but when I started, thinking like, should just use the Helix, don't worry about your amp. Because I was also always the guy carrying my amp everywhere, even when I,
Been there.
played in
Been there.
church. Even when I played in church and everything, we had cab clones and everything. I was the guy setting up my amp, running it very softly, but I wanted to go through my amp.
Yeah.
Was it a Mesa Road King?
No, it was using Getner Tube Meister.
Okay, that's not so bad because I mean I had a friend who used to carry a dual
that
rectifier to church.
No, that's just
It
silly.
was like, you stupid.
Yeah.
But-
Shout out Vic, love
Well,
you, Vic.
the Road King, I mean, that thing's heavy too.
I was just trying to think what's the most ridiculously heavy amp I could think of. The Road King.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that
So
is
it's like,
crazy.
You
That
seem
is-
like the kind of guy who would carry a Road King.
Well,
'cause you're crazy.
I used to have a dual recto Roadster
Oh, that's also one of the heaviest
with a
amps in history.
4x12 cab that I would Tan's Cafe when it moved
Yeah.
to four-way up those
You
stairs.
carried
Yes.
it up the stairs.
I carried my 4x12 up those stairs every single time.
Separate topic, but I wish more amp manufacturers would do what Vox did in like the late 50s and put 3 handles on the top of the
Yeah.
thing.
So-
So some of those amps where it's like the thing is like 60-70 kilograms.
So
and
the
you're holding it
vocalist
with
who
one-
does nothing can help you carry.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of times I did an AC30 where you have one person at the front, one person in the back. Even though it's a hellaciously heavy amp, at least you can get help. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Why don't more companies do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So, but back to and that's where I started thinking about that entire thing is mic'd up with it. Like you have a cab mic'd up with 57. There's so many other things on stage happening, and people are like, the tone freaks will go like, oh no, bro. But like, honestly, just think about it for a second. You've got a drum kit on stage booming. You've got a bass amp pumping, and you have your 57 in front of your cab.
Yeah.
Do you honestly think that's going to sound better, regardless of what amp or pedals you are running, than a modeler who has absolutely no outside interference and it's 100% just the sound that you want, Obviously within the mix, like I feel, yes, you get the fizziness that people talk about, in modeling and all of that, but
I don't think that's true anymore. Huh?
yeah, also
Yeah.
like I haven't heard anything sound fizzy since the Line 6.
I'm thinking Boss
Fire
GC10
something.
to me. Like I remember a bit of fizz there, but like GC100 now sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, but even if you're not one of those tone freaks where you go like, oh no, bruh, you're hearing the fizziness. Like honestly, in the mix with vocals and another guitar and a bass and drums and all of that, are you going to tell me that at a gig you're hearing the fizziness over the crash cymbal?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been using a Kemper now for what, like 10 years, eh?
Since Lance Sport, I mean, I got the
2011 was that the first?
I think
was
so.
It 2011,
I can't remember
2012.
exactly when, but
I
yeah.
remember coming to your studio and playing it through your studio monitors and just thinking, especially the low end is what impressed me there because like it responds through monitors like an amp sounds in a room. It's
Yeah.
like it's quite ridiculous. Like,
Yeah, no, that's been my, and I've also
you've
been on
strayed
different
from the path.
I have.
at times.
yeah, but and I love the other ones. I still love the Helix. I really do. I mean, even the Helix Native, if you run it in the computer,
I still have Helix Native
it's
running.
great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I mean, those new high gain amps they've released for Helix Native are really, really cool. Have you
and,
tried them?
I have, and also the Princeton. I think it's a Princeton, hey? That,
I don't know. I've not turned my computer on at home in how long, but it's on there. It's
Yeah,
quite good.
it's great. I mean, but then even if you look at the smaller, like the Moors, you get the Moor multi the G300.
Yeah, G300, 200, 100.
Yeah, the
all of that stuff.
Impera. I mean, they're actually getting great tones out of those. I mean, and they aren't that
Even
expensive.
the Zoom stuff from a few years ago, like the G5s and things like that, sound really good, actually. You know,
Yeah.
I even think sort of going back, I mean, some of the last Digitech things were pretty good, you know, where they were getting to, but obviously that's now defunct, but coming back potentially. But yeah, I think they've sounded good for a long time. I remember as a young guitar player, for me, like the thing I was aspiring to was getting a Boss GT6.
Yeah.
Actually, like I wanted a Boss GT6.
My first band I played in, I remember the guitarist named Johnny, who also a monster guitar player.
I know him actually, yeah.
Yeah, serious.
Insanely good guitar player.
Monster. And
You know, he used to do GT6 through PV Classic 30
Yeah.
with the 7-string.
Sure.
Yeah. No,
Which is
it's like-
crazy.
So John, shout out. No, we actually like our first band. We got out of high school and started our first band, and that was like, you know. So and John was the guy that like had the GT5 and then the GT6, and he's also like a tone, you know, freak. So and I mean, he got the craziest sound. I remember his first guitar, funny enough, was this Court that just a I think HSS or something, and then with the GT6, and it sounded monstrous. And this is now 22 years ago.
Yeah, I think with those things, it's also about dialing it in. Because like, I think it was harder to dial in older modelers, you know, of that sort of late 90s, early 2000 era. It was pretty tough to get it sounding there, but you could get it sounding there. Like, I think it's very rare that modelers would just be like trash, like insanely trash. And just requires the tweaking. But the difference now is you can get the good sound really quickly, you know.
Well, that's the thing. Danish Beat and Rebea on, I think, on one Andertons and a video a couple of weeks back that I saw, they said like their biggest issue with modelers is the fact that preset number 1 is not the best.
No,
that
it's always like the crazy sound, right?
and that's
flipping weird.
And
I
that's
wish
the
they would
thing,
stop
so-
doing that. Especially, I'd say line 6 are the biggest culprit of this.
Exactly.
Like, it's got like a whooshing phaser with a like crazy delay.
Why don't
and
they
like,
just like go the most basic, great sounding presets? So they
I agree.
Get the best people to like do sounding
That's
presets.
exactly what they said, because that's your first impression, you know. So like Danish Beat and Rebea both
but I
said,
think if to be fair to line 6 of the companies, they're probably thinking, okay, like Johnny's on his first modeler that he's buying, he wants to hear the crazy sound first.
make it preset 2. Make
Preset
preset 1
2.
sound as good as possible. You know, it's like that's
But then guitar sound is also subjective. Like, what's as good as possible for me, you probably hate because you like more gain than I do.
Well, your first
So-
5, I mean, have like one of each kind
Yeah,
of
go clean,
sound.
crunch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
distortion
playing devil's
and-
advocate. Yeah, I actually agree with you guys on this. But
Yeah.
I think with the modeling thing, it's kind of gotten to the point where it's very indistinguishable from the real thing now. You know, well recorded amp in a studio and a good, you know, good IR with a good like amp model. It'd be very tough to tell the difference. Like, it'd be very, very tough. I would say like the advent of tone capture, you know, the whole like, obviously, what do they call it on a capture? It's the Kemper profiler. Sorry, they call it profiling on the Kemper.
and on Moore it's capturing.
Yeah, you get the Moore tone capture pedal. The Neural DSP Quad Cortex can also do it as well. Like, that aspect of it, I think, has changed things a lot. And the sort of advent of the sort of cottage industry around impulse responses, you know, where people actually capture the tonal responses of a
That
particular
makes a
microphone.
massive difference.
'Cause, like-
you can change the whole sound of your profile or your
Yeah, I think there's
patch
like
with
10 years ago, it wasn't easy to get those kinds of sounds. You had to buy like the Michael Britt presets for the Kemper and whatever to get some different sounds. But nowadays, there's so many IRs. I mean, you must have a crazy library, right? And that makes a hell of a difference.
100%, yeah, definitely. But funny enough, some of the earlier profiles still stand up today. You know, they're still some of my favorite sounds.
Good sounds, you know,
Yeah,
good
they just
sounds are timeless.
Sounded great. Yeah, that's
I think the first time on the Line 6 Helix that I actually bought a few IRs, you know, and but it just changed
Yeah.
the game for me. You know,
Yeah.
I got a few. I remember because like my main cabs always like for any form of recording and thing, I'd go for like a Fender Twin. I'd go for exactly the same as the Iridium. You know, I'd go for a Vox AC30, and then I'd go for a Marshall. You know, so I actually not a Marshall, a Mesa cab, and then I got the Mesa IRs, I got the Vox ARs, and I've got and it was like it just changed the game. And
I think that makes a huge difference. Like if you're gonna buy a HX Stomp or something like that, definitely download some IRs and pop
some
them
great,
on there.
there's awesome free hours out there.
Yeah,
as well.
lots of them. So I mean, you can get an IR loader pedal as well. There's a lot of cool options, like you mentioned, the Moore stuff. I think there's a Hotone stuff. There's higher dollar stuff. There's a TC Electronics one that's just come out.
my first modeler that I ever worked on was the Line 6 amp farm. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yes,
that.
yeah.
Jeez.
That was the first modeler. I remember I was recording. Moritz Lotz was the guitarist doing a studio session for someone, and we just did amp farm, and that was my first experience of like, nah, I just plug it straight in.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you sure? And Moritz was like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And
off you go, and it was magic.
yeah, the amp farm was pumping.
To me, like what I really loved, if we talking sort of 15 years ago, the Vox Tone Lab stuff, I thought sounded great.
I love that.
I really wish they hadn't stopped with those, because like I think maybe the tube in it probably would have gone eventually, because that was it always had the valve in there that sound would go through, and you could sort of drive the valve.
And it looked rad.
It did look rad. Let's be
You
honest.
could really tweak that thing and get
But
some
they
great
sounded great.
sounds.
So, I mean, they had the desktop unit, and then you got the bigger SE and the LE and all of that. And it feels like that's a missed opportunity for that brand, because like, I think the modeling was a Korg thing, because Korg owns Vox, so there was always a Korg modeler as well. So, you didn't know?
No.
Okay, it's been a long time since the 90s.
And they're all made in a Court factory.
No, they're not. You again. So yeah, I mean, I think Korg and Vox, like that sort of partnership, the units that they used to make, it's a real loss that those aren't around, because Korg, like from a digital modeling, when it comes to like keys, they're incredible at what they do.
Yeah.
Like I wish they would apply some of that to guitar again, because they still do modeling amps, but they do more entry level modeling amps. They're not doing the high end kind of stuff anymore. And you just don't really see them around like you used to,
But I mean, the same conversation we had in the previous episode with Digitech now, and Court, buying them. Like I honestly think like it's going to be crazy difficult to like start from scratch and try and compete with Neural, to compete with Line 6 and like, with
Depends
Kemper.
on what segment of the market they go after, I guess. If they're trying to do the mid-range of the market, where you sort of Boss GT1000 Core, the Moore, the Ampero, in that sort of space, Line 6 HX Stomp, in that sort of price bracket, I think it might be possible. Obviously, the core technology and all of those things are the same as the higher end ones, so they're going to have to develop it. But I think it's possible to get there. It just depends on, they're probably going to have to hire some engineering staff, because I gather a lot of the guys that were with Digitech before are gone. Actually, one of the guys was super active on the gear page. So, like, you kind of got a breakdown of like, this is what's happening to us at Digitech and DOD.
I'm over it.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago already. So I don't know. They're going to have to get some intellectual capital to get that back, because I think developing the stuff is really hard. Like Neural DSP with the Quad Cortex has shown us how, I mean, if you guys don't know, how difficult it is to actually release something that's stable and good from the off. Like it's a good unit, but they're also doing software plugins at the same time. Obviously different development teams and all of that, but a lot of the stuff they promised with the early Quad Cortex hasn't come to fruition yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a great sounding unit, but there are issues and features that they promised that, in more than a year haven't come out. So that's going to be the thing, even a company like that only does that kind of product, still finding it difficult. So I think you have a good point there. It'll be really difficult for Digitech to hit the ground running. Yeah. And maybe they don't do that at all. Maybe they just do reissues of the whammy and the phasers and the gonkulators and the 250 preamps and all of the stuff that they did, You don't know.
But from Mark, from your perspective, I mean, you in studio every day, you gig the whole time. So when was the last time you mic'd up an amp in your studio?
2 days ago.
Totally undoing it.
No, but here's my question then, so obviously knowing what you can do with Kemper and Line 6, why? Why did you...
It was just a specific sound I was going for, and I just I know how to get it on my amp just straight in, So that was the reason I went there. But I mean, for convenience sake and all that, I mean, cheapers. Even with especially with the new the Tone King, right?
Yeah.
That thing sounds for clean and even overdrive sounds. It's really, really, it's ridiculously good.
So I preached the gospel and you came into the fold.
Yeah, no, look, I've had loads of the other new stuff.
I just went to look at the pretty pictures.
Okay, that's and the effects on there,
so
the
good,
the reverbs and then the chorus and stuff.
Considering what it costs, is like it's just insane.
It's got so much depth in the reverbs.
Like it looks super simple, but there's so much in there.
Yeah.
It's like that's why I'm looking at it and going like, do I need to like I haven't turned my amp on in like a month,
Really?
So it's just like I've run my pedal board through it. I play directly through it. It just sounds so good. So, I'm kind of thinking, maybe I'll move away from collecting pedals and collect some more plugins,
That's funny. I'm not completely...
I want to actually grab a bunch of them.
I'm not actually, again, on the opposite side of the spectrum
the other way.
where I've literally had everything digital. I literally had everything digital.
Now he's going amp again.
Yeah, I mean, I sold all my pedals because I got a Helix. The only pedal I kept was my exotic EP booster. And then Helix brought out the EP booster, thing, and then I sold the EP booster, and then I,
spoiler, he's got an EP booster again.
Favorite pedal, and then
I think I first bought one in like 2010 when they released. I imported it off eBay.
My first one I also had I think 2012.
I don't actually like it. I'm sorry,
but here's the thing. So
since you press the thing, it's just like volume
low end. I don't like it. I don't like that.
No, I dig it. That pedal, the Fushia with the EP booster.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I'll let you.
You're getting the low end back, no humbuckers,
dude. But and here was the thing. So I don't know if this could be an issue with you guys as well, because this was my reason why I actually sold the Helix and decided to actually get a smaller board. Is I ended up spending so much time tweaking and playing with sounds and getting sounds that I actually wasn't playing.
That's actually why I moved away from modeling years ago, was for that reason. Because and also, funny enough, the giant pedal board thing that I used to do as well with the gazillion effects, is just you spend so much time playing with it, and
because you can always
get
make
something
it better.
Yeah. So it's like,
whereas with a pedal, that's it, bro.
Going into amp.
For me, what I actually did is I restricted myself to a tiny pedal board so that I only had limited options.
That's exactly
to
what
make myself play more guitar and less like tweaking.
Yeah,
so exactly what you're saying. I agree. Like it's option paralysis that you get into with those things sometimes.
But I mean, that's exactly what I went through, and and then I got a smaller pedal board, and then even the pedal board was like too big, and then I got a Moore G250, which again wasn't an amp. And now I got an amp again, and now I started building a board. But like, I'm restricting myself. I've got overdrive, I've got distortion, I've got reverb, I've got delay, I've got compressor.
Like there's something to be said, like creatively, with restricting yourself. I mean, like Jack White's the obvious like example of like making your life difficult with certain things to make sure that you have to be more creative to overcome a terrible plastic guitar and a horrible drummer. Whatever band we're talking about with him, because of course now his like current stuff is super technical and very polished. So,
but don't you feel that?
You haven't? No. Check it out. New album's good.
Okay.
He uses a Korg Miku pedal musically for the first time in
But
history.
who plays with him now? I know there's someone actually jams with him.
He's got like a pretty big touring band. I'm not actually sure. It's the tour is called the Supply Chain Issues Tour, which I think is pretty smart, like sharp, Yeah.
So, but Mark, don't you find that like when, especially like with Kemper and Helix, that search for the right sound doesn't take too long,
No, you're right. You're 100% right. Then sometimes you go to a gig and that sounds not what you expected, because it's different from studio speakers. Now you're obviously amplified and playing much louder.
The response is very different.
Yeah. So
even headphones to studio monitors, the difference is like, wow.
So I mean, like through your PA and also the room, the same with an amplifier. Your amplifier sounds differently in different rooms.
Room,
You go to one gig, it sounds great. Yeah, you go to a different venue and it sounds crap. You try and do everything. I wish I had a modeler. You know what I mean? That's that kind of thing. So I think there's a place for everything, really. But I mean, you're 100% right with the fiddling and trying to find the exact sound. Get a bloody sound, go and play it and be creative, like you said as well. But you obviously want to get the best sound you can. And one thing I do like always miss about an amplifier is that immediate reaction that you have with the thing in the room.
Interaction.
Turn it on and it voice.
Yeah.
And you're playing with feedback and all the cool stuff you can do with an amp that unless you got a dedicated monitor in front of you for your modeler, you don't get.
Yeah, that's it. I'm thinking if you just got 1 or 2 pedals, flip a nice reverb, even though it's just getting a mono reverb, it still gives you some sound. You know?
Yeah, I actually used a Tech 21 Liverpool pedal for a long time, like the character series, like analog modeling kind of thing, where it's supposed to sound like an AC30.
Yeah,
I had that on my pedal board for a long time, probably like 2 years. I was actually playing direct. And then I went back to an AC15, and interestingly, no changes on any settings. It really did sound very similar through a PA, a 57 on a AC15 versus this pedal. So I mean, I've done that as well, and that's actually analog modeling. It's not modeling; it's just they've made a circuit that has those tonal characteristics. So it's a clean pedal / overdrive. You can use it as an overdrive or as like a clean basic sound into a DI. So I would run into a radial DI.
Okay.
And you had like cab simulation that you could turn on or off, so it'd either be like an overdrive pedal or actually like a modeling thing. Correct. I also used the Tech 21 Flyrig 5 for a long time as well.
I've been meaning to get like my hands on one of those just to
check
it out.
Those are really cool because like it's got the
they've always. I mean, it looks amazing. The stuff you see on the net.
I loved it. I loved it. Like while I was using the Flyrig 5, I felt no need to get an amp or anything. It was just fantastic because you got overdrive and delay and reverb in the pedal.
It's pretty basic.
Amp modeling.
It's like
it's easy. I mean, it's tiny.
Yeah.
So like there's all these cool products. Moore also make very similar stuff. You get Ampero have those sorts of things as well. So that's another option as well if you want to do that. And they sound really cool.
Recently, something that blew my mind, and I've got a review on this channel on it, is the Blue Guitar Amp 1.
You had one as well.
I did have one.
I dug that thing.
But the thing is amazing. But my issue is with that was it sounds great for the 1 or 2 sounds you're going for, but being in a cover band,
you need a lot more.
You need so many more sounds.
No. So that is for like you have to imagine that you have a 2-channel amp.
Yeah,
that's the thing. But
look,
now you've got
I took pedals as well. I mean, so run my HX effects with that.
Yeah. No, but I mean, for me, the way that I saw it is like, let's say, for instance, I now buy a 2-channel, whatever amp. So I've got my clean channel and you've got your drive channel.
Yeah.
And then you have versatility across that. So obviously I agree that it doesn't have the versatility.
It does sound great though. It sounds flipping amazing.
Yeah, that thing was absolutely
I can't believe it's been out for so long.
Yeah.
For bloody 8 years. How long?
You're long.
Probably at that time and it's only making inroads into South Africa now.
I just think for sure guitars started doing it. So, kudos to them for.
But even in Europe, I mean, you don't often see any marketing on YouTube or anything with the amp one.
But I think that's also due to Thomas Blug's personality. He's like, I think it speaks for itself. He's not going to go like, use my thing. It's like, here's what I did.
Get a marketing team, Yeah. Because I mean, if you've got such a good product and it does sound great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the people like Jennifer Batten and people like that playing them. I mean, and they love the first
for everybody younger than 30, Jennifer Batten is. No, I don't think anybody No, Jennifer Batten. I'm not joking. Like Jennifer Batten is a monster, but it's not a.
But that's like a different category where it's sort of amp modeling, but it is also an amp,
real amp
in a sense that it's got some valves in it,
and it sounds amazing through a speaker. Jeez.
Yeah, it's got like a digital power supply, so it kind of gives you some power through a speaker cab.
It's actually 100 watt.
100 watt, yeah.
Kind of like you're using an orange Terra stamp.
Yeah.
And that's also a similar sort of thing where it's got a little digital power amp and a valve preamp.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just a one channel. Yeah. And that's what so I've got that on my board, and that's my amp. So it's a 20 watt tube.
And then what, you go into a speaker and then that's it?
That goes out into my Mesa cab and
my word,
that's it. And it's on my board.
Didn't know about
and it's
that.
boss. I didn't think, I saw that while walking at Marshall Music like so many times, and you see this thing and you're like, it's one of those.
What does it do?
And then I borrowed it to check it out, and man, it pumps. Here's the thing, it's a 1-channel amp which has a foot switch, but just for more volume. So if you want to have that boost from the amp. But I mean, it's got effects loop in and out, so I literally have my dry signal, my drives, compressors, everything that goes into it.
Yes.
Then I've got effects loop into my reverb and delay, back into the stamp and out to the cab. And
you guys got them?
Dude,
We do. You can't have one. I won't tell you one.
it's bomb. It is the best thing. It's that big.
Banned.
That sounds great.
I'm
though.
banning
I
you
mean,
from the shop. You can't have one.
It's
I mean, it's a pedal.
Let me show you. Where's my phone? Oh well, it's that big, and it's on my pedal board. So it literally got on switch, and that's your amp, 20-watt
And
amp.
how does it sound?
Pretty doggone amazing, if you ask.
I dug it.
I think that's what that sound
Can you go
means.
straight, or do you have to go through?
No, it's got a headphone and emulated out as well. So
So you
but
can go straight into PA. You don't have to
Yeah.
go through a speaker.
yeah, you can go straight. But I'm going to my Mesa
It's
1x12.
not as
and
fully
it's-
featured as the Blue, but
Yeah.
it's still very, very
It sounds
But
insane.
if you got your pedals in front of you, like I've got my favorite overdrives to be
Yeah.
after sifting through the flipping.
cool. The piles of stuff.
Yeah, I've still got my favorite drives and my compressor and that kind of stuff, which I still, even today, use with my camper. And I've still
Yeah.
used them. I
Well,
drive
that
them into
convenience
the
factor
camper.
being able
Well,
to
I
kick on.
send you a photo. Show. Well, I'll put this on the screen. This is my personal board.
Yeah.
So,
Sure, he's bragging now.
oh, this is my personal board.
So the chest puff out
Yeah,
there.
bro. No, I'm digging. Like the only thing that's on that pedal. Where's my phone?
That's okay. I'll show him. I think that's a very different category of product, but like I can also say like Electro-Harmonix do something called the 22 Magnum and the 44 Magnum
it's
as well.
not a
like-
modeler, so it's
Yeah.
completely off topic. But
There you go. That's what it looks like. It's quite small. Like actually, I had an Electro-Harmonix 22 Magnum probably like 12 years ago that I had in my bag as a backup for my amp. You know, so it's basically it's just a power amp. So you can run it into a speaker. You know, you disconnect your speaker and your combo amp, and you just put that in there, and it's like a clean bass that you can run your
but
pedal
it
board
sounds
into.
insane. Like even the clean channel. So if you just pump the gain,
Yeah.
dude, it sounds monstrous. The first time I checked it, I was going into an orange 1x12 cab at my house, and I honestly didn't think this is the sound that's going to go. Actually,
out of there.
I have an unboxing video also on this channel, where I literally unboxed it. I didn't know. I
He
plugged
calls it the Terra SD amp. though.
Yo, what out of the terrorist stamp? Plugged it in. You'll see my face on the video. I go like, the bearded man was filming it, and I was like,
Wow.
See, I think the mistake a lot of people make with that particular product is there is a 1x8 cab that's for the Micro Terra amp head that a lot of people try to use that with, and that like 1x8 cab isn't good.
No.
You know, it's just it's fine for like practice at home, but it doesn't give you the full kind of tonality that the amp can do. So
Mesa 1x12 vintage 30s. That's
Sure.
Orange PPC 112 with the vintage 30,
yeah.
great cab.
It's just
we
not
were
black.
actually going to move on to another topic from the,
So-
the gear page topic of the week, but actually we kind of have covered it because the topic of the week was gigging with a PC. And we kind of did cover it because you were talking about using the rig control. You were talking about using maybe the neural DSP with MIDI assignments. I'm even considering, you know, maybe next time I go and jam with somebody, maybe I will take my laptop and audio interface with and give it a shot. You know, maybe get a Behringer FCB 1010 MIDI foot switches, the two
Yeah.
expression pedals and whatever.
You still get them.
Yeah. Marshall Music Tribe super partner.
Boom.
Behringer.
Oh, really?
Coming
Music
in the
Tribe
next
South
month.
Africa,
Oh, wow.
check it out.
Yeah, definitely. You'll get Behringer products in SA again, which is pretty cool. So we are going to get some of
Oh,
those.
so they're not in SA at the moment.
Not at the moment.
Almost.
Haven't been for a while. There's a company called Fast Track that does a lot of Behringer stuff
Is that
as well.
including the Midas stuff as well?
Yeah. You guys will see an announcement at some point about,
Okay.
you know, so
And
like-
Turbo Sound.
Yeah, Turbo Sound, TC Electronic, all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, cool stuff coming. You can get them from Fast Track stores, but their sort of focus is more PA than musical gear. So it'll be
Yeah.
more speakers and mixers than necessarily guitar effects.
Yeah.
and, things like that. So Aston microphones also part of the
Yeah.
Music Tribe vibe.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit, but
Using
no,
a laptop.
yeah, I think we kind of covered it. It does work. It's something you can do. It's obviously has its complications. Like I would turn the Wi-Fi off for a start so that it doesn't
Yeah, my
something
word.
doesn't update while you're about to do your gig. Maybe a MacBook is a good choice.
Yeah.
You know, if you want stability, and beyond that, I mean, you can use your phone. I mean, there's all sorts of like TC Helicon do the Go series, like the Twin and the Solo and whatever, that are interfaces for your phone. You get the IK Multimedia.
Look, I won't shop at like a proper rehearsal with that.
I don't know. I mean, it depends on who you're
I'll
playing with. Because
I'll
like,
take
that's
a
part of being a
laptop, yeah.
guitar player, let's be honest. It's
Yeah.
like when you show up at a gig, you or at a rehearsal or whatever, it's about how what you have looks to the other people. Like they'll be like, oh, guitarists are judgy bastards. We all are. It's
No,
like,
we are.
You know, the whole ultimate, like, how do you know who's the guitarist of the room? We joked about it the last podcast.
Because more gear is more better.
It's the dude like crossing his arms, sneering, thinking, oh, this tone is terrible. I'm way better. You know, like all of that stuff.
I mean, I'll take a laptop with like native or, neural DSP or, like those things. But rocking up with your cell phone, I don't know, bro.
I've seen it.
Amplitude.
I've seen it and it sounded good.
Amplitude is really good. That's one we actually didn't mention. The IK Multimedia Amplitude stuff. It sounds great.
I've seen somebody use it in a venue and it sounded bloody great. And he was changing his presets on his phone.
So it's kind of like that old school kind of like Zoom 9009 vibe or whatever. You know?
I'm not saying it's going to sound bad.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be.
Look a little
I'm not going to be the guy.
I'm not going to be that guy.
But I mean, you are going to be using a speaker cab without an amp head though, so you are going to get a few weird looks, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because of that. And I've been that guy as well. And I've also been the guy going direct with the pedal board as well, where people are looking for the amp.
Yeah.
You know, like, where is it?
Yeah.
You know, is it maybe in an ISO box or in a room in the back?
Yeah, I get people like always checking out the Kemper and screaming, what's that like toaster thing, you know? Because I just at the old, I don't have the rack.
Yeah.
And they're
just
all
had
like
a brain fart.
confused.
Yes?
Do you guys think that the sound engineers from 20 years ago were actually like way ahead of their time? So do you remember 20 years ago, if a sound engineer rocked up at your cab with a jack to jack and asked you where does he plug it in, you'd go like, oh my, do you even know what you're doing?
Well, you're an idiot.
And now if they do it, you're like, my brew, plug it in here. How did you know?
I mean, that's also, I think, part of where the technology has improved so much in modeling in the PC thing and everything is just the need for volume to go down. Because, PA technology is so much better than the time when 100 watt amps were the norm. The reason there were 100 watt Marshalls was because they needed the volume. The PA couldn't support the guitar tone. PA was vocals basically at that time. They weren't even putting drums through the PA. Everything was running through amps on stage. Just because the PAs couldn't, keep up.
I've mixed sets like that at Cafe Barcelona back in the day, where literally the only thing coming through the PA was kick drum and vocals. Everything else was from stage.
Because there's just like so much stage volume in that sort of setting. But no, I mean, especially the church thing, I think that's driven a lot of the technology to change, where it has to be a bit quieter. The old way, of course, was like under the stage or a room behind or something. The amp room where everything was like blaring loud and then you close the door and then you don't really hear it. Yeah. And then it's kind of moved from there into the modeling thing, into the direct thing. I mean, there's the other thing we haven't even covered yet is like for going direct would be reactive loads, load boxes,
cab clones.
What is it called? Attenuators. I mean, a lot of amps have attenuators built in. Some amps even have DIs built in nowadays, so you can go straight out with speaker emulated stuff. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. Maybe that's a broader topic at some point. That's not really modeling, but it's just about, I think it's come from the need to be quieter.
But it is tech. I mean, if you think like the red box from Using Ketner, they would give you like the option, like, do you want to sound like a 1x12, a 2x12, or a 4x12?
Yeah, look, I mean, the torpedo from UAD is insane.
Isn't that a 2 notes, the torpedo? 2 notes.
No,
UAD is
that's the, you think, what's it called, man?
It's a 2 notes torpedo.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
it's
the UAD is
modeling.
the Oxbox.
That's right. Yeah. That thing is insane. It is really...
It's fantastic. I think a lot of the Anderson's videos are actually
very
through
expensive.
the Xbox, but
but it sounds.
I mean, those things are such useful tools. Maybe we keep that for a topic for future of like getting your amp quieter in some way. But I think whether it's a PC, whether it's a dedicated hardware unit, whether it's your phone or whatever, modeling technology is here to stay. It's really good at the moment. And if you're too purist, which funny enough, despite the fact that I'm talking about ditching amp, I am probably the amp purist of amp purists, really, because of like,
and I
love that. It's
absolutely opposite. I'm not an amp purist, but like I'm playing with an amp. It's weird.
Yeah, geez, I remember like coming to the shop one day. I was going through my art back in those days with Mean Mr. Mustard. And I came in the shop and I needed an amp and you were just, I'll take this one. That was a PV, like some really
the special 212, like the straight up like solid state.
Yeah, goodness, wow, that sounds fine for me. I'll take that, Yeah,
I'm just like, I'm not so sure that's a great idea, but okay, if that's what you want.
My art into there, we went, played the gig,
Do you remember I said to you, do you want to try one of the boxes, maybe? And you're like, no, don't have time, I've got to go. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Let's see how that's going to go for you.
Didn't go for long,
Yes. It was just loud. That's all it had going for it.
That's it. Remember the old bandits though?
Yeah,
the
I had
PV
two,
bandits.
actually. I've had
Goodness,
two
they
bandits
were
now.
great.
They were good, yeah.
Jeez.
I enjoyed them. I actually ran a modeler through a Bandit for a while. I had a Korg AX 1500G through a Bandit, and that actually was good.
Oh, gee, it's loud as heck.
I always thought I had a shit ton of gear, but no.
Welcome to our world.
You're welcome.
Welcome. We're not going to welcome anyone. We're going to say goodbye. I think
Yeah.
we've spoken for long enough with this one, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show, and we've really enjoyed talking about the stuff, and we've really enjoyed using these Rode products from Rode South Africa. We thank you guys, Rode, for sorting us out with the pod mics and the Rodecaster Pro and the Procaster and all the cool stuff that makes it sound great.
Yeah, again, this is incredible. Check out the Rodecaster. If you're into podcasting or just want a 4-channel recorder, that is incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And of course, thanks to Marshall Music
Marshall.
for Guitar of the Week. We appreciate that. If you guys want to buy one, go to the Marshall Music website or go to your local dealer, because everyone friggin' stocks Taylor, don't they?
Yep.
So wherever you go. So definitely check one of those out and check out the next episode and give us a like, give us a comment, subscribe to the channel wherever you're listening or watching, whether it's YouTube or Podbean or...
And if you disagree, please comment. Tell us
Yeah,
why
do
you
let us
disagree
know.
with our opinions. Because again,
Internet fights are the lifeblood of and make us excited.
Yeah,
Like,
'cause
we'll fight you to the death on the internet.
this is all our opinions, and I mean it's
No, we want to know your opinion. Let us know.
yeah.
So yeah,
You're going to be wrong, but let us know in any case.
have a great week, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening. Cheers.